Good morning. So this rotation continues. Interesting. The so obvious movement out of tech and into the junk. You can see on the quotes there, the NQ futures down as much as they are, while the ES and the YM actually up 240. It's maybe Boeing. Yeah, Boeing's up 7 and change, so that's helping over there. Anyway, so we talked about this consolidation last week, this week, and prices are moving up toward that resistance area up there, the prior swing high. And we got a consolidation here pre-market. So we'll see if that holds. You can see the swing low, the retest, and that's moving up, and the swing highs directly up above. So a little trading range going on there. You can see the narrow range there overnight. So not making a lot of headway. Nonetheless, you can see the 5-minute, the little head and shoulders kind of top there. Pretty sloppy, but anyway, starting to perk up to the upside there, and we'll see if it gets through the top there. Weekly looks pretty amazing. I mean, we had these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 weeks of running in place going nowhere with the threats to the downside. The topping tail didn't follow through. This was a big red bar intra-week, turned into a bottoming tail bar, and now the movement up. So I guess we're going to see if it can get through here. We covered internals earlier in the week, and they've gotten worse. So kind of walking a fine line here, with the internals as they are, money coming out of the winners, money going into the junk. Can the rotation keep the indices afloat here? So that's yet to be seen. As we always do, track the prior day's low as your first reference point of support. And I got a little, it's not marked as a pivot. I guess it should be after this bar is complete, because we require 3 bars to the left and 3 to the right. So tomorrow, this will be marked as a pivot low. And the fact that it made a higher high, it'll also become our reference point of major support. And a break below that will violate this upward trend. Now, because this went sideways, so we had a weekly sideways for several weeks. And you can see the sideways action and a tighter range there, and that this tighter sideways action up at the top of the range. That pattern supports it going higher up to that resistance. And I said, well, you got the NQs here that, they're sideways, pretty sloppy, but you can see the selling. This day where they pushed up, they came down real hard. And then they followed through yesterday. They bounced back up. They hit resistance, and now they're churning lower. So overall, pretty bullish. This rather neutral, but pretty sloppy. So play havoc with individual stocks. We'll see how it all plays out. But so our major support point is down here. It did make a new high. So the prior swing low becomes our reference point of major support. Step by step, systematic analysis. No trend lines, no fib lines, no whatever lines, imaginary hocus pocus lines, and so on. Just look to the left, swing low, higher high, right? So trend, uptrend, higher highs, higher lows, pretty simple. Breaks the prior swing low after making a higher high. It's not an uptrend anymore. That's within this time frame, of course. And that obviously, is different on the 60-minute, which is now broken the trend. It's in a downtrend. So that misalignment, if you will, of time frames will make trading a little bit more erratic and choppy. Whereas, you can say here, if we could scroll back where this is moving up, and you would see the 60 moving up and the lower time frames moving up, staying on the long side, we call that just being a no-brainer, and buying the dips. Whereas over here, as an intraday trader, you can play it both ways, but you better be nimble. The Dow, you can see up here, 235s pushing up, bringing up the rear. The Dow was the laggard for a long time. And now, Boeing is lifting up. I could look at others, but you could look through the Dow stocks yourself and see what's bringing up the rear. But you can see as this is moving up more bullishly, and look how, it starts where it left off the night before, even though there's overnight trading, and now it's pushing up. And so where's it going to stop? Well, the 200 is lurking up above here. The price support, the swing is up above that, but the 200 will come into play. Everyone, many focused on it on the daily time frame, but more so what you want to be watching, because more looking at it, you see SPX got through the 200. So that's a positive, and it could push up into this congestion area. The Dow lurking up above here. You can see where my cursor is, about 26,320, whatever, 300. And the swing high is up there. So that'll be a focal point. If this continues to push up, as it looks like it will, during the day, you can set an alert up at that level and be aware, because when it hits there, it's likely there's going to be sell orders. Some common sense. Absolutely, Tony. So you're saying the rotation out of Qs. Yes, because that's where the tech is. So you can see the gap reversal, and then the dip yesterday. The buyers showed up, pushed it back up. Now it's back down to 28-ish. Not terrible, trading inside the prior day's range. So the same story, sideways price action. So when this opens, it's going to gap down, and there isn't much of anything to the left there. So it makes it kind of, I guess, a little more difficult, where you have, this gapping down. You've got the spiders here. Where are they? 305, right? They're gapping up. So you got these markets going in different directions, which leads to a little bit of confusion and uncertainty. But can one pull the other up? Will the one pull the other down? It's a question that you just have to watch and see what plays out. And that might take a little while to become obvious, to us as to what happens. So what we look for when we're looking at both of these, one of the clues would be, if the spiders were to have a bearish pattern, like a breakout failure, where it gaps up and then, immediately drops back down again, but support isn't that far away, or where you have the Qs that they gap down and right away spring right back up again. So either way, it makes for an uncertain open here. So, sit on the sidelines for a little bit, let it play out, and see how it all shakes out until things become a bit clearer. The Russell, right, continuing to move up. It's coming up towards 200 MA, and you see this resistance area up here. We've got the same trading range going on. So when I say some kind of a failure, so this would be an easier example to see that, meaning you've got a sideways range here. So if we were watching this at the open and this pops up like it's going to explode higher toward the 200 and immediately gets slammed right back down into here, that would be a clue as to the direction. We're saying, well, these NASDAQ, these tech stocks, we better pay attention, because that negativity here is causing some selling where the breakout should have continued to move higher, because this is a resting period and has created support. So if this bullish pattern immediately resulted in a breakout failure, that would be one clue as to what's going on. Looking at the S&P, similar situation, breakout and a failure, that would give us a clue. Where this is in a downtrend, so we don't have any solid base, but you could see how it broke here. But if we were to see the NASDAQ futures spring right up above this level while the others were going up, we're starting to put the tea leaves together, or the pieces of the puzzle, to give us some guidance as to the direction. Either way, this is still in a trading range. Bonds still been in this relatively tight range down at the bottom, going nowhere for a long time. So an alert down here. Let's see it's dropping a little bit as it comes down to this level. Let's see if it pops back up again and see if it stays within the range or not. Oil's down here a little bit, no big deal. It's had a pretty nice run. It's close to this resistance area up here. As you can see, just look to the left, and this intraday support, that bottoming tail bar right there, is where there's going to be some buyers. You can see what's going on here. Pre-market. Gold moving up. Right. It's been in this trading range. It's got toward the bottom of the range. Buyers stepped up. Still, overall, just trading within this mess that's going on here. And, the higher time frames are bullish. As you can see, the weekly is going sideways, been chopping around here, kind of just waiting for, I guess, the market to falter. So it would move higher. So set an alert at the top of the range. And, of course, the bottom of the range. GDX here. The miners, that pulled back toward this major support. And you can see the pivot highs and pivot lows, higher highs, higher lows. So deep pullback puts that trend in question, but buyers showed up there. So now, it's up here a bit pre-market, right? 34 and change, gapping up into this area. So that's a good start to this reversal. The deep retracement is a concern, but hey, this is the stopping point along the way, where sellers took control and buyers needed to step up, and they did. So now we'll see if it can get back up to the top of the range again. And where the junk lies, right? The junk had a nice move. It was looking like it was going to fall off the cliff here with its head and shoulders top, but it's reversed, and now it's coming up into resistance. And of course, this is where the airlines are, and the rails, and the truckers, and so on. So, as I say, this is where the heavy lifting begins for them, and those that moved up to their respective resistance areas will have some difficulty trying to move much higher. So they've had a pretty nice move in a few days, and so maybe everything coming up to their respective resistance areas, the Qs, having a difficult time here. And I don't know if I got the right chart here. Yeah, you can see sentiment got up to an extreme there. Breadth is up at an extreme. Caution for longs, price-wise, and look, you can stay in what has been showing relative strength. See how far they can continue to move up. And I don't know what Facebook is doing. I saw Zuckerberg on TV and the president talking about making them be the policeman of fake news. We'll see how far that goes. But, that's had a hell of a run. So maybe, this is part of money coming out of what has been leading the way higher. So you want to keep an eye on that. And there's plenty of others that have been leading, that have been getting some selling coming into them. So how long can the dogs support the market? Well, time will tell. Let's follow the trend. As I pointed out, very simple. Looking to the left, higher highs, higher lows. Well, it broke the trend on the hourly. That's the start of what could be a trend reversal on the daily, because the weakness starts in the lower time frames and then eventually evolves into the higher. So now that we've got this gap reversal and this initial push down, right? We're at 223. It's gapping down. Our minor support is right there. Major is right here. And just like looking at GDX, the deeper it gets down here, the more it puts the trend in question. Now, this has got a pretty far way to drop, and it's got an unfilled gap here. It's got a rising 20 MA. So Facebook, assuming it does get down here, and that's the way it's acting here, looks like it will. Let's see if the institutions still love it and want to come back for it. And that'll be one of the clues as to what's happening in the broader markets, because if they're going to keep getting out of the winners and the losers are coming up to resistance, I think those internals are going to, make these things correct further, as the internals are suggesting that's what's going to happen. So we'll see how it all plays out. Romano's asking me, will XLK reach a new high still? I don't know, Germano. I mean, my crystal ball goes to what I see here, and you can see this is down a little bit, no real damage done. It's in an uptrend. You could see the same or similar type of gap reversal and move down that's recovered. So the hourly trend, that deep remove down, it's a warning shot. What's happened here? Going sideways as this did and gapping up, it should have kept going. Maybe that whole number of 100 would have stalled it, but it should have kept going higher. And so now we'll see where this ends up at the close tomorrow. If this is a big red candle on the weekly closing near the low, that suggests it's going to go lower. And if we do see that, well, then the odds turn toward no, it's not going to get up to the old high. A lot of chart reading is just common sense. It really is. But when you start adding the fib lines and the oscillators and the clouds and all the other garbage that comes in one of these platforms, it gets real confusing. When you just look at what is and stop trying to predict the future with these subjective tools. I use the word tools lightly because they're not even tools that should be used. It's like using a hammer where you needed a screwdriver. And you just look at what is and say, hey, this has made a good run. You got a big red candle. This trend is up. If it breaks this trend, the same way, so the hourly can evolve into the daily. Well, the daily can evolve into the weekly. It's just common sense. So when they're all in alignment, the odds are in your favor. Stay in what has the alignment in multiple time frames. So, all yours, Dan. Lesson of the day.
All right, thanks. Yeah, we only have 2 open positions in the weekly. We have 14 in the swing ladder, 13 bullish, only 1 bearish. So everything is doing great. I've tightened the stops on a few things pre-market. So I have a lot of gappers, so I don't want to look at those right now. But so D-Dog is our only bear call credit spread. I just tightened the stop. Everything else looks great. Hey, McGraw, you're drop down and you still got the wrong name. Jorge is asking about a couple of gappers here. TZA. This is a levered instrument. Got to be careful. It does look lower. You have volume on the breakdown. It's in a downtrend, daily, weekly, monthly. It looks good. A little extended on the 15, but it's a power trend. There's nothing wrong with continuing to short that, and just pick whatever time frame you're on to pick the stop. Starbucks 79, gaps. I just mark them off. It's still in a trade. It's at the top end of a trading range, but there's no compelling pattern there. Twitter, yeah, Trump's going after these guys for claiming, they're filtering conservative communications, including him. 31.44. It's a bearish gap, but no great price void. It could be there's, I don't know. It's not a tier 1. I would have to come back to it. WFC. It's already up 2 days and gapping up. Had a nice 15-minute chart. Well, not really now that I blow it up. So not crazy about that. And we're going to be pretty cautious here at the open. I said in the video last night, I had no interest in the Qs. They had the biggest run, so their party was over. I'm very mad. These 2 gaps. Last weekend, I had diamonds as a directional for us. over this topping tail. The gap, stupid gap, messed it up. I left it there to do it again. Stupid gap, messed it up. But here is where we should have got on. This late, you know, you had a nice 1, 2, 3 right here. That's a no-brainer right there. That's where we should have got on. So that's the only regret in that. Yeah, Twitter. So Facebook is down. All the things are down, and they've had the biggest run, and they were weak yesterday. Amazon, no pattern though. Netflix. We were watching this as a put spread. Actually gapping up, 414. Let's this, you know, it was showing a lot of relative weakness after a breakout failure at the high, but put spread, let's keep an eye on that. Marriott, I like over the highs. I like this 2-bar consolidation after the gap up. So I like Marriott both for directional and put spread. We just got to be careful. I don't want to get us too loaded. Like I said, we got 13 bullish positions in the swing letter. Arna gapping down, 51 bucks. Bearish gap, but no great pattern. Again, this was a recent IPO, and I looked it up because I had no idea what it was. It's gapping up again. It's a gambling stock out of London. I looked it up on Yahoo, but that's doing well. XAR, I gave this to our ETF trader yesterday. Beautiful gap breakout from big trading range. That was a no-brainer. It's gapping up again. Here's the levered one, DFEN. Look at that long base gapping up, big price void. GE, I read in the paper, I miss these gaps the last 2 days. Wow. They're selling off their light bulb business. And so the newspaper said they are out of the consumer world. They only do commercial stuff now. Zoom might have stabilized. I don't know. Come back to it. DRI, we entered yesterday. I sent out a telegram saying sell a third pre-market. See, once again, if you don't get our telegrams, you know, you're going to miss out on things. So we're out of half of that, pretty darn near the high. Twitter, we looked at SMTC. Wow, that's a big gap. The gap's excessive, so I have no interest. Gap into 140, and mark it off. Bearish gap. Hey, Jaime, is this an M top? It's not textbook because it doesn't have the, it really should be more time for an M, but it's close enough for government work to me. It went up, came in, went up, retested, failed. So I would call it a mini double top. It's a bearish retest. Now it's gapping down. It doesn't have a lot of volume, but if it is gapping down here to 140 for real, this is a beautiful call spread setup. Hey, Barrett, are you in the house? Look at this OSW. We were salivating after the close yesterday because I didn't see it beforehand, and I was trying to buy it post-market. I was bidding for it. I was high bid. Look at that beautiful reverse heading shoulder, red bar ignored, price void, and now stupid gap. So it's relative strength. Well, relative strength to the Qs, that is, not to the diamonds. Let's see. Ryan's asking about, can share this ticket, CRM. Oh, nice, Jason. CRM gap into 180. It's just gap into a wall of resistance. You know, I don't see what to do with that on a daily or intraday. Alley, I got an upgrade, banking sector, nice bottoming. A number of the banks moved already. They were strong the last 2 days. And this was a beautiful close, beautiful 15-minute close. Rallied, negated the morning weakness. And now the stupid gap's ruining it for me. That would have been a great continuation setup. CAC. Gap and it's flat. Trade's a little whippy, but looks higher, maybe to the 200. Remember yesterday we were talking about magnets? Remember that? And I said the diamonds just look like they want to go to this 200. They're suggesting that. U-Haul, bullish 15-minute chart, but too extended for me. That might go to the 200 also. TGI, another little bottoming pattern. The gap's messing it up. That would have been I know it's up 3 bars, but it's not. It's 3 bars igniting. It's not 3 bars extended when it comes from a base like this. So that would have been a nice trade over yesterday's high, but gap's messing it up. Workday 180. It's sloppy. I don't know what you want to do with that, Amon. It's a bullish gap. It's sloppy. It needs to set up. CSIQ was gapping better pre-market, and I was going to look at that for a put spread. SPR, this is a supplier, I read, a supplier to Boeing, and another bottoming pattern. This looks fantastic. Now we might have to trade the gap on this one, maybe 30-minute high or something, because this has room. I prefer a pullback, obviously. I see Boeing pulling in here a little bit. I have Boeing on my other charts, so I will put SPR here. Boeing, it's bottoming. This is a bottoming process. But now you have a bullish gap, 156. We'll watch it, 30-minute high. Lumber liquidator. Here's a double bottom. Look at this. Fluid move down, up, down. It's a double bottom. Oh, man, that scared me. Zeke, I wish you would warn me before your bell goes off. Nothing to do with LL. Hexel is, see, now that one's too extended for me. I like the chart of SPR as a new trade better because it's closer to the base. But, I'm doing nothing at the open. Let's see what happens. A Dollar Tree. Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm watching Dollar Tree. Maybe it's 30-minute low. It's shorting a call spread. Oh, look at our KSS, Alex. That was up nicely at pre-market. Up to 22.80. Oh, it's selling off now. We bought calls on it yesterday. Hertz, I read in the paper that Carl Icahn owned 38% of this company. I had no idea. And they said he took a bath. He took a bath and he sold it at